Peace everyone, Unmask here and welcome back to another drawing journal. Today, as you can see, I am continuing on the portrait that I started last week. Last week, if I'm not mistaken, you got to see me fill in the face. I did the eyes, the eyebrows, and all of that. Over the week, up until today, I did the lips, I filled in the ear, and then the neck and the chest area, that, as you can see here. Today, my goal is to finish off the skin. I'm going to do the arms, and then I don't know if I'll be able to get into any more than that, but yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. I had a nice relaxing weekend. Let's see, my wife and I, Saturday, it was kind of okay weather. It was somewhat okay weather, which prompted us to go outside. We ended up going and getting some food, and then we were just walking around, and we were thinking to ourselves, like, what should we do? We couldn't really think of what to do, and we were kind of on our way back home. And before we got on the bus or whatever, I was like, oh, you know what we should do? We should go into the bookstore and see if they have coloring books, and then we could just go home and color. Because Sunday, yesterday, the weather said it was supposed to just be rainy and kind of gross. And I was like, it'd be kind of fun to just sit and color, since the weather's not going to be all that great or anything like that. So we went into the bookstore, and we were looking for, I don't know, we were looking for a while to just find the coloring books. There wasn't really a coloring book section, and we ended up finally finding them, and we were looking through them, and we couldn't really find, I don't know, it had like one extreme or the other. It was either like way too childish, like it would just have like a ball with a star on it or something, or a bucket, or on the other hand, it would have like a partial color, and it just hard to explain, but partially colored, and it didn't make any sense. And we ended up finding one. I don't, where's it at? Oh, you know what? It's in the kitchen. I'm not gonna run and get it, but we ended up getting a Barbie coloring book. I'm not even joking. And the artwork, I mean, the artwork in it wasn't that bad. It seemed like pretty fun coloring book, and so we ended up getting it. And yeah, so we brought our coloring book home, and that was Saturday, and we ended up coloring Saturday evening. So I have them here. So this one my wife did Saturday, and this is the one that she did. This is the one that she colored on Sunday. The book comes with stickers, and the stickers, I guess, are just supposed to help. She used the stickers for the shading, so you can see that the shading matches, but the people don't match at all. And then I did this one on Saturday, and this marker, a few of the markers are just not working well at all. And so it bled really bad here. It bled on her face, her hand, and on the dog. So not the greatest. And then this was the one that I did on Sunday that, fortunately, nothing went wrong, although it tried to on the blue. But yeah, so we spent some time this weekend coloring Barbie coloring books. Hello, Ray, Danny, Marcy, Sammy. I'm just gonna say Sam. Good to see all of you here. Thank you for coming by. So yeah, that was pretty much our weekend. And then today, what did we do today so far? Trying to find the right marker. There we go. So yeah, already today has been relatively busy. My wife and I, we woke up at 5 to go get our blood tested. We did it last year as well, and we're just kind of curious of how things might have changed in the past year. So we're getting like the cholesterol and the blood glucose and triglycerides and vitamin D and all of that stuff. So all of the pretty much a full blood panel. That's essentially what we woke up to go get done. And so yeah, we did that a little after 6, and then of course my wife had to go to work, and I decided to come home and make pancakes. And I was talking to my wife about it a little bit, I don't know, a few days ago or whatever, and I was telling her that we should do a video together making one of our mini dishes, and she seemed on board about it, but I decided to do pancakes this morning because I wasn't really initially celebrating, but I decided it was a good reason to celebrate. I have officially been vegan for 10 years now, so I'd say I'm proud of myself, but honestly it was so easy that I feel like it's low-hanging fruit for me to be proud of myself. But it was just kind of cool. I didn't realize it until we were heading over to get our blood tests. But yeah. Oh, hey there, Jesse, Prince, Jillian. Good to see all of you. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. So anyways, like I decided to make a video, and I totally did it off script and just kind of threw it together in about the same time it takes me to cook pancakes in the first place. But yeah, so if you haven't seen that, I uploaded it earlier this morning. Trying to think of what else. Oh, my trip, or our trip to Amsterdam is officially scheduled. We have our plane tickets and we have our hotel and everything like that. So I'm super excited for that trip. I've never been to the Netherlands before, so it will be fun. Yeah, you guys will have to let me know if anybody is located in the Netherlands. If you want to swing by Amsterdam and say hello, that would be really cool. Maybe we could get lunch or something, meet up for lunch. Just just let me know in the chat or message me on Facebook if you're in the area. I know a few people from the Netherlands, so it'd be kind of cool, depending on whether or not you're in the area or not busy or whatever. But we'll be there for 4 days. And then what else? Another thing that we're doing fairly soon is we're going to be going to an orchestra concert in a nearby city. We might even go to one in Amsterdam as well. Yeah, I'm talking about the pancake video I posted earlier this morning. Um, oh, good morning, Barbara. Oh, that's cool, Marcy. You'll have to let me know. You have to let me know how you like the pancakes if you do make them. Yeah, ours was a fasting blood work, so we had to fast for 12 hours. Not that that's a big deal or anything. It's just kind of annoying, sort of an inconvenience. But yeah, I'm excited for some feedback from anybody that makes my pancake recipe. When I was making it, I, like I said, I didn't really plan anything. I didn't even really plan the video. I did it randomly. I was like, oh, I'm gonna make pancakes, and I was like, you know what? I really should just, throw together a quick recipe video, since I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, because I also can't tell you how many times we've talked about food during the drawing journal. All the food that I either have made or am about to make after the drawing journal. But yeah, so the requests are rather endless, and so I decided it was finally time to just do it. And so I just kind of threw the video together without any real plans. And I think if I were to plan it next time, make it a little bit more cohesive, maybe possibly shorter as well. I don't know if it was too long for some people. And perhaps I'll be able to get my wife in the next one also. Oh, thanks, Jesse. Oh, hello, Leela. Thank you for coming by. I think I've used this marker more than any other marker. I feel like it's trying to dry up on me. All right, let's see here. Let's go with hello, Sue. I know it's not Sue. Oh, gosh darn it. It's been so long since I saw you on a live stream. What's your name? I know your real name. Can't remember it. Do you use other alcohol-based markers besides Copic? I did. I did use the Letraset for a really, really, really long time. And they still work, but I decided to just kind of splurge on Copic markers this year. I didn't get these markers until January of this year. And they were always kind of on my wish list for like the longest time. But the Letraset markers, they worked so well, and they still work really well, that I just didn't see any reason to get the Copics. But I'm really glad that I got them. I mean, they're great markers. There's a few in the set that are rather annoying because there's actually one marker here. I think it's this one. Yeah, this marker here, I never even used it. Like, I don't ever remember using this marker, and it's completely dried out. So there's, I spent like $500 on each of these sets, and to spend that much money on a set of markers and 2 or 3 of the markers are just broken. They don't hold the ink, and then another marker that is completely dried out 100% is rather annoying. And if I would have noticed earlier, because I haven't really used these markers a lot. I mean, I don't think I even used them but like 1 or 2 times when I first got them. And so I didn't notice the issues right off the bat. And had I, then maybe I could have, argued a replacement or something like that. But I doubt that I could now. Because I don't even remember which set I got where. I think I got one off of Amazon and I got one from Jackson's Art Supply. So now I just need to order a few replacement markers, which I haven't, it's been a really long time since I've ordered art supplies. I'm kind of all stocked up and I'm trying not to spend any more money on them currently. As much as I'm missing spending money on art supplies, I'm trying really hard to just not right at the moment. It's hard to justify it. Gila, that's it. Gila, yes. I knew it. I knew it. Oh, hey there, Chrissy. Definitely try the pancake recipe. I'm looking forward to your fajita recipe. Oh, my fajita recipe. You know what recipe I need to do. Right now we don't have a blender. Our blender broke a while ago, and both of us agreed that we weren't going to bother buying another blender until we moved into a larger flat, because our kitchen is quite small and just the excess stuff is just easy to get in the way and all of that. So we've been putting off buying a new blender, but I have this recipe. I can't quite remember it off the top of my head for enchilada sauce, and I was thinking about it like a couple months ago, shortly after our blender broke, and I was like, oh, I want to make it so bad, but I can't. I'd have to find the recipe somehow, and then I'd have to figure out how I'm going to make it without a blender. But that's one thing that I'd like to. That would be fun to do. To be honest with you, regarding fajitas, it's not really much of a recipe. It's more just like, chopping up vegetables and seasoning them. Oh, hey there, Ben. Welcome. Welcome to the family. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I always love questions. You guys know this. You guys know this. Oh, hey there, Bonnie. Good morning. Andrea, hello to you as well. These markers are really squeaky. Can you guys hear the marker squeaking? I never heard it squeak before. Now all the markers squeak. Do water-based markers blend and layer as well? I would absolutely love to answer that question if I ever used water-based markers, but I've never used them, so I can't say whether they layer and blend as well as the Copics do. I mean, it's a possibility that they do, but I can't say for sure. Windsor and Newton, I believe they have water-based markers, and you know they contacted me recently, Windsor and Newton, or at least a representative for Windsor and Newton. They contacted me about making some videos for them and kind of like reviewing or testing out their products. I haven't heard from them in a while now, but they said something along the line of sending the products or whatever. And so I don't know when they're going to send them or whatever, but if they do, hopefully they send me some water-based markers, because I didn't seek them out. They just contacted me and was like, hey, do you want us to send you some stuff? And in my mind, I was like, yeah, sure, send me some stuff. And so I haven't heard from them in a while, but hopefully they'll contact me soon and send me some stuff. They were talking about sending me markers, some of their graphite pencils, charcoal pencils. Trying to think of what else. Just pens. They have a lot of pens, I guess. Oh, they were talking about writing up a contract. So I don't know. Maybe they're working on the contract. I don't know what the deal is. This was a few weeks ago. I figured I'd hear something by now, but I haven't yet. What are you reading now? Just finished The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Oh, I just finished Origin by Dan Brown. So I just finished all of Dan Brown's books, and I have to say, Origin is by far my favorite of the Dan Brown books. So if you've never read Dan Brown's books, I can certainly recommend them. I would say if you were to skip Inferno. My wife is reading Inferno right now, and I just feel bad for her. It took me a lot longer than normal to get through Inferno because I found it so unbearably boring. But Origin is just fantastic. I really, really enjoyed Origin. And after reading the books, I never watched the movies, the Tom Hanks interpretations movies of the books until after I read them, and I have to say, Tom Hanks is just a terrible casting for Robert Langdon. He does not look like what Robert Langdon should look like. Tom Hanks is just too old. Robert Langdon, and he's just too old and out of shape. So I know that they made a movie of Inferno, and I'm gonna watch it, but I have to wait until my wife is done reading the book. I would hope that they'd make a movie of Origin, because it is I mean, they made a movie of Inferno, and that book was just awful, so boring. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah. So hopefully, if they're gonna make a movie of Inferno, Dan Brown's worst book, they have to make one of Origin. Yeah, Sam. Origin is just great. That's cool that you're reading it. Did I miss anything else? What do I think? How do I think you are with illustration? How do I think I am with illustration? Well, I don't know. Um, I mean, there's everybody kind of has a different definition. So maybe you'd have to um, rephrase your question a little bit more specific. Um, I'd say I'm pretty comfortable with illustrating, like coming up with my own character designs and coloring them and all of that. I'd say I'm pretty good at it. I have illustrated a book in the past, um, but I don't know. I would probably put it lower on my skill tree, I guess. Yeah, that's a good question. I would say portraits and landscapes are probably where I shine the most. Like that's where my skills kind of gravitate towards the most. Illustrations, concept art, um, or just creating a kind of a scene with characters. I would actually say that's probably one of the most difficult things for me. Maybe. I don't know. But it's not the most enjoyable thing. Yeah, character design, concept art. Uh, I'm trying to think of. Funny thing is, like, I'm doing a review of this VX tablet right now. Um, they sent me one to do a review. I need to actually do it, and then probably this week. But what I'm instead of my normal thing that I'm doing with it, I am trying to create a gosh, I can't even think right now. Trying to create a landscape, like a concept art. Actually, I'm doing concept art for the review. I'm testing out the tablet and seeing how it works, and I always like to work with it for like a week or 2 weeks before I do a review, because otherwise, what sense does it make? But yeah, I'm finding that it's rather difficult. Yeah, doing the landscape stuff. Oh gosh, let's see. Um, Winsor Newton pigment markers are even light fast, but layering is difficult with them. Yeah. Uh, Skip the movie. It's awful. Your time is better spent elsewhere. Yeah, I imagined that it would be. I had uh, I have very very little expectations, super low expectations for the movie, but I can't skip it. Like I have to see it. It's kind of like a car accident, you know. You're driving down the road. You just have to look. You can't not look. So that's pretty much where I'm at with that. I don't think that there's a case in which a terrible book was ever turned into a decent movie. So, considering how awful the story in Inferno already is, I didn't have any hope whatsoever for the movie, but I'm not going to watch the movie until my wife's done with the book. My favorite thing about Inferno was just having something to complain about for like a week. That was the best part of the book, was that it gave me something to complain about. But aside from that, it was pretty awful. Um, oh, thank you, Shiny. Yeah, I totally forgot about drawing animals. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty decent at doing animals as well. Oh, thank you, Richie. Glad you like it. What do you guys mean by concept art? Concept art is like, um, it's usually, well, I'm trying to define it without using the word concept. You can kind of think of it as like what you would see a video game artist designing. Like if somebody has an idea for a video game, they're like, "Oh, I want the this character to be, blah blah blah, and I want the environment to kind of look like this and somewhat fantasy but cartoony or something like that." They kind of give these vague, abstract concepts. There we go. I'm trying to define it without using the word concept, but essentially, you can kind of think of concept art as an artist or a concept artist taking their ideas for what they want something to look like and expanding onto it. So usually the people with the idea isn't capable, or they just don't have the time to create the concept art themselves. So that kind of work is hired out a lot to digital design artists, that concept artists that do it professionally and stuff like that. And that's usually the case with like video games, sometimes like with animation, things like that. So they use concept artists to design what they are looking for. You can kind of think of it as when somebody hires a graphic designer to do a logo for their business. They usually come up with a few ideas of what they'd like the logo to look like, and then it's the artist that comes up with the rest of the stuff, kind of brings the idea to life. And that's what a concept artist is. And so concept art usually extends beyond just doing a logo, and it usually would be like a character or a series of characters that all exist in the same universe. It could also be environmental, so you could have characters and an environment. Usually it's characters and an environment because characters need a place to exist. But yeah, so that's pretty much concept art in a nutshell. You could also somewhat consider uh, illustrating, um, like especially if the illustration is through traditional mediums. You can kind of think of that as concept art. If somebody has a story, but they don't quite know what the characters look like, and they hire an artist to draw them based on the descriptions that they provide. Let's see. I'm kind of considering keeping the shirt here rather simple. Maybe not trying to expand it to a high degree of realism or anything. And using ink pens to create a bit of texture. There's just a lot of surface area here. I'm not sure I really want to use my marker all the way up just to make it look more realistic. Let's see, I need, what is this color? I don't even know what color I'm using. Time to do some shadows. I don't know if this color is going to be dark enough. Should be able to at least map things out. This is, this marker here is one of those bleeding markers. I can already tell. So I can't really be slow with it. Otherwise it's just going to spit ink everywhere. Have I tried painting with alcohol inks? Yes, I have tried painting with alcohol inks, and I cannot stand it. I much prefer watercolors. I feel like watercolors make sense when they lay down, and alcohol inks try to, but fail miserably. I don't know, maybe it was the paper I was working on, maybe it was just my technique, but wait a minute, no, not alcohol inks, no, I think it was acrylic ink. Yeah, it was acrylic ink, my mistake. Not alcohol. I'm pretty sure it's not considered alcohol inks. If acrylic inks and alcohol inks are different, then no. If they're the same, which I don't know, then yes, I have. So I'm just going to answer that I don't know. I don't know if I tried alcohol inks. Wrong tip. I feel like I should zoom out a little bit. Maybe a little less than that there. Let's see, I need a little bit more dark. Let's just go with the grays. This should be pretty dark. And now I think I'm just going to add some texture. Oh, thank you, Cat's Art. I appreciate that. I think this might be the first time that I saw you in a live stream, so welcome. I'm just playing with some texture here. Like I said, not going for like super realism, but if I add some nice texture to the shirt, then you know, it will stand out against the skin even more, since the skin is just real smooth. Would I consider putting together a Copic marker course? You know, I don't know. I never thought of that. I never thought of that. I don't know if I'm good enough with Copic markers to put together a course. I've never really practiced with them. You know, I've just done stuff like this, and I've never really established like a procedure for doing, you know, things like, well, things like this. I'm not even sure how I would go about organizing or teaching that. I mean, that would be a fun project, but I don't know. Probably not recent, or in the near future. Maybe in the distant future, I can revisit that idea, because I do like the idea, but I don't know. I feel kind of lost thinking about what I would do. Do I do multimedia pieces? Yes, I do. I really like using markers and colored pencils together. I don't do it very often. I have one. I have like one. Two. I have like two pieces that are hanging up behind me that I did with markers and colored pencils. But nothing recent that I can think of. Now I'm going to speckle my shirt with a white pen. like I said, not going for realism here, so. What time is it anyway? How is it only... Huh. I feel like it's barely been any time at all. The reason I'm concerned about the time is because I gotta meet my wife shortly. She gets off work in a little bit, and so I gotta go out and meet her and get some groceries. Good old grocery shopping. Almost kind of looks like a leopard print, like right in here. I don't even know if you guys can see these dots. Can you see these dots? They're just teeny tiny little white gel pen dots. Either way, I think it looks good. I wasn't even sure how long that was going to take. I felt like it was going to take longer for me to do the arms. I guess I kind of rushed through them a little bit. So I'm not going to work on any more of this. I'll probably finish the hair off stream sometime later this week if I get a spare second. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess it depends. I could save the hair for next week's drawing journal if you guys wanted me to. I gotta focus on doing that review for that drawing monitor, and I don't know what else. I got some other things I need to do as well, so perhaps I will just save the hair. There's really not a whole lot to the hair. It's kind of just a dark brown with a few highlights of red. So, how do I go about blending prismas? Well, if you just YouTube search how to blend colored pencils, my video will be the very first one you see. Without some liquid, yes, I show you 7 different ways to blend colored pencils in that video if you look it up. And only one of the ways is with a solvent. Oh, okay, Marcy, I get you. Yeah, I honestly, if I were to do a marker course, I would probably just use Copic because I've used several different brands of markers before, and aside from my Letraset collection of markers, nothing blends really at all. The whole key, like, I could basically sum up the entire course of markers in one tiny thing, and that is the whole key to good marker work is understanding that it is a layering medium. The alcohol ink in all the markers is translucent, meaning that, if you put blue down and you put green over top of it, you're going to get a blue-green. because both markers are translucent, and it's not necessarily that they're really mixing with one another, but that they're laying on top of one another, and that you're seeing both colors because of their translucent properties. And so understanding that because they're all translucent and the way they interact from just layering, that's the most important concept to understand with markers. And if you understand that, then really all it's about is choosing the right colors. And if you take the time, like I always do, to find the right colors, then you take the guesswork out of working with markers. And that's really all there is to it. It's surprisingly easy once you understand the layering, because it's not a big it's not a big mystery, and it's not difficult to do. Because if you take any marker, I'll just take this marker here, and you lay it down like just like this, and you let it dry for a second. You let it dry, and you layer over top of it with the same exact marker. You're creating two layers of the same color, but because you're working on white surfaces, the first layer is always lighter because it's translucent and it shows the paper through. So just using the same marker twice and creating two layers of the same color, you're going to get a truer version of this marker. So you have just that to work with. You can do a lot. Even a third layer will show up slightly darker. So just understanding that alone can help you create gradients, very smooth, consistent gradients. And then, of course, if you take a lighter color like this pink here, and you layer it over top of this color, you're going to start incorporating more orange pinks into the color, and that's the foundation for good skin tones. This is what this color looks like by itself. You'd never really use that for a skin tone, but when you think about layering, you need to turn the skin a little bit more pink, so you take a pink and you add a translucent layer of pink over top of it. So layering is really the number one skill you need to understand with markers, and that's really all there is. It's a lot like watercolor in that way. What else? What else is there? Oh, the other thing with layering markers, and probably the second most important thing, is that you need to have transition colors. And what I mean by that is you can't take a dark color like this and a really light color like this and blend them together seamlessly. So if I take this color and I blend it, I really lay it down, and I want to take this color here and I want to blend them together seamlessly, and I think, oh well, I'll just work this color over top of that color a little bit like that, and I'll work this color maybe a little bit more over top of the other one. And someone that doesn't quite understand how the inks are working is going to make this mistake most of the time. You're never, no matter how much you rub your paper and saturate it with the ink, you're never going to get a really clean gradient. There's always going to be kind of a mess happening in the middle. But you can solve that mess by simply taking a third color that is an in-between color. So you always need that in-between color with your gradients. And it not only does it have to be in between saturation levels, but it also has to be within the value as well. Because if you take a really, really light marker, let's take this one. No, let's take this marker here. Or actually, better yet, let's do a skin color. So here's a skin color, like a dark skin shade. It'd be this color plus this color here. This is a nice dark shadow color for skin. If you were to take this color and you need to pull out like, or the skin next to it is like a highlight or something, you can't just use the highlight color over top of this dark color. And I'll show you this last thing with markers here, and I'll try to, let me just zoom in. It's got to be dry. So this dark color right here, I don't want to, if the skin color next to it is like this light color, you can't mix these two colors together because of the significant difference in value. When you have really low valued colors, now let's see what happens when I try to mix. I don't look like I'm in focus here. Focus camera. There we go. When you try to mix this, what you're going to end up doing, because this color is so light, you're going to end up pulling the ink, the darker ink, from the paper. And you can start to see it there. And it turns into an ugly mess. And it creates this really weird, once it dries, it will create this really ugly textured look that is just hideous. And you have to be really careful with that, because it will happen anytime you take a dark color and you try laying a much lighter color over top of it. So you can kind of see how it's not even, it's kind of spotty and lumpy and just really uneven, because you just kind of push the darker color away, and it just looks awful. So it looks really, really awful. You can see now that I've added that third in-between color here, these three colors, this color transitions to that color much smoother. It could still be a little bit nicer looking, but you'd have to do the same thing with this. You'd have to have probably 2 or 3 in-between colors here in order to get that dark color there to transition to this much lighter color here. But anyway, that is going to be it for today. So yeah, here's the progress that we made. Next week, yeah, you know what? Maybe next week I'll just hold on to this, and then next week I'll do the hair. So that would be that. Or if I do the hair, I'll just make a tutorial of it so you know how I do it. Either way. So yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out. Appreciate it. Let's see. If you're not over on Patreon, then I have a link for that in the description. We're currently working on a pastel portrait that is lit by candlelight, so it's a pretty cool looking portrait. And then colored pencils, we're doing a lionfish. So yeah, I do those live streams every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you want to join me on those live streams, that is how you do it. Trying to think of anything else. No, that pretty much is all of it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the pancake recipe that I posted earlier. Yeah, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.